Greetings. I am Brother Sylvester Muhammad, and this is my wife.
Sister Sandra Muhammad.
And we are amongst the many students in the classroom of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his representation of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now today we'll be going into this will be episode 3 of the true history of Jesus. All right, episode 3. For the last 2 episodes we've been talking about Jesus. We're going to finish this book, but I had to put, if you saw it on my advertisement, I had to use this picture right here. Sorry it's upside down, but that was done intentionally because that's what the opposite of truth is, falsehood. And that's what this is. This is a false description of Jesus. I know. We all have been affected by this quote-unquote picture of Jesus. Matter of fact, you can't even look at this picture and call it a white man. You can't even look at this picture and call it a Caucasian. When you look at this picture, what name comes to your mind? Look, I've been a Muslim follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for 49 years. But when I look at this picture, that same message, that subliminal suggestion, Jesus. See? So we gotta hurl truths at this falsehood until it knocks out its brains. The brains of falsehood are lies. Jesus was not a Caucasian. They show you sometime with him having brunette, as this one does, or he got blue eyes, or they show you as a blonde man with blue eyes. But I want you to think out of the construct of this world's way of life and know that we've been lied to. Jesus was born in Palestine, which is in Asia Minor. All right? His father was an Egyptian. We're going to get into it through the reading. Now, if he was born in Palestine, Asia Minor, his mother was a Palestinian 2,000 years ago now. That's the white man had been on our planet for 6,000 years. So they hadn't quite yet came down into Palestine. They was on their way and started the race mixing. But the thing is that he was a melanated man. In other words, he was original. Okay? If you were to see Jesus, he would look something like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, reddish brown, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, or the one that taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that's Allah, who came in the person of Master Father Muhammad. That's what Jesus would look like. So we're gonna get rid of that myth, okay? But this is not the Jesus. So when we begin to read the true history of Jesus, know that anyone that will not treat you right, will that same man treat you right? Okay, so we're going to get into it. All right. The true history of Jesus. We're going to be dealing with that. But I got to turn this back, because every time you want to think that ain't the history of Jesus, I want you to look at that picture. Should I leave it right side up or upside down? I want you to look at this picture. I don't mean to offend you, but we got to stop thinking that he is something that he is not. There were no cameras back there. And if there were artists, then they should have used the region of Asia that he came from to paint a more decisive picture of him, as opposed to using him or the same name, the same color that they represented to us. And before I let my wife read, I have to say it again. We didn't come over here on the Nina, the Pina, or the Santa Maria. We were brought over here in the holds of ships 460 some years ago. And the first ship that arrived on the shores of so-called Africa, or as we call it, East Asia, was a ship by the name of Jesus. And the people on that ship that enslaved us looked like him.
That's right.
We're going to get into it as we move forward. Timeline of the original man. We came from 7-8 trillion years ago. All the way. Sun, stars, moon, Buddhism, the tribe of Shabazz, going down into the jungles of Africa. 6,000 years. Now, 4,000 years with Moses. Now we're in the 2,000 year timeline of the original man. The true history of Jesus. Okay? But let me say this. The importance of Allah's second self. Because Jesus and his mother were a sign. They were a sign of black people in America. I mentioned before Jesus. If you go back and read, we'll get into it. But the key is the importance of the female, the woman. We'll get into
That's
it.
right.
All right.
And we're getting ready to tell our story, which is God's story.
My wife, she reminded me, don't forget that sign. The sign of not his story, but the sign of our story. Again, that's why I put that picture up there. So that you will see that our story is truth. You would have not known about the true history of Jesus unless God came
right.
and made that type of truth known. Then there's his story. Look what he did. He knew that that was not Jesus. That Jesus did not look like that. But he told his story.
That's right.
So we're going to get into it, but I want you to think about that. But know that what we're finna read from is the true history of Jesus, is represented by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was taught by Allah in the person of Master Father Muhammad. We got a bright future, black people, but you're going to have to accept the truths and release the lie.
Right.
Jesus said, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Let's get into it, baby.
Okay, so I will be reading from the True History of Jesus starting on page 2. Okay. And it reads, after Mary's father leaves on his journey, a great dust storm comes up, which made it very dark. This kind of storm comes up twice a year. During this storm, Mary became frightened and sends a message to Joseph, telling him that her father had gone away and that he would be away for 3 days, that she was left to feed and water all of the livestock, and that she was alone and was a little afraid. She asked Joseph to come over and help her take care of everything, and that he would be company for her. Joseph tells his wife that he has to go off on a little business.
Yes.
He came over to Mary's house, and she tells him of the costumes of her father that she will wear when she goes out to feed the livestock.
So her father left costumes because she was there by herself and he wanted her to appear as though she was him.
That's right.
But Joseph goes on to say what?
Joseph said, give me the old man's costume, and when anybody sees us, they will think I am the old man with you.
With you.
Joseph gets the team ready, and Mary gets in with him to feed the livestock. The next day, Joseph comes back and stays with Mary and helps her to feed and take care of the livestock. On the third day, Mary's father came back and asked his daughter, how's everything? She said, all right, father. So after 3 months, the old man noticed Mary was growing larger than usual. He said to Mary, what is the matter with you fattening so fast?
Yeah.
Are you eating more than you should? Mary said, no, father, I am not eating more than I should. The old man called Mary again and said, Mary, there is something the matter with you. Look how large you are. What are you doing? Mary no longer could hide it. So she told him the truth.
So she told her father the truth.
That's right. She said to him, Father, do you remember when you went off to set up a temple and were gone for 3 days some time ago and left me to attend the livestock? Well, I was afraid because of a dust storm and sent for Joseph to come over and help me.
Yes.
Well, he came and did help me feed the stock. The old man said yes, and he fed them too.
Look here, and so the Quran is fulfilled.
That's right.
That God sent Mary,
That's right.
a man, a spirit.
His spirit.
But the Quran says that it appeared
Right.
to her as a real made man. And again, she didn't accept him right off. She fled to Allah to make sure this was the one that God was bringing to her, one that she had loved. But if he was not, she'd have sent him packing.
Right.
But he was the one.
That's right. She said
Joseph.
to him, she said to him, do you remember Joseph and me were trying to get you to let us marry when we were young,
Right.
and you would not allow us. Now, this is what happened, and I shall send for Joseph and let him tell you for himself. An old woman had already been to Joseph and told him that the child Mary was carrying was his child, and the child would be a wonderful child, a prophet, a teacher. She told him that the child was his, but Joseph denied it.
Joseph denied. That sounds familiar, don't it, brothers? No. Joseph, you are the father. And we didn't do no DNA test. But I like the fact how she further reads. Further read.
It says, but this woman knew because she was a prophetess, or what we call a medium.
A medium.
She
knew.
Yes, she did. She told him his name was in the Holy Quran.
Yes.
And that he should take care of him, and that the authorities would seek the child's life.
Okay, she told him that his name was in the Holy Quran. Now notice his story. The Holy Quran came after the Bible. The Holy Quran was here 1400 years ago. This was 2,000 years ago, containing the history of Jesus. But they both were written approximately 25,000 years ago. The word Quran, in short, means a revealing. So she had been revealed the truth of who he was, and his name is in the Holy Quran.
That's right.
Even though it had not been revealed yet. Go on, baby.
That's right. Writing that history in advance.
Right, thank you, baby.
Our story, excuse me.
Writing our story in advance, approximately 25,000 years
That's right.
in advance.
All right, so on page 4 it reads, Joseph went and told Mary the good news that the old woman had told him concerning the child. Then Joseph went to Mary's father. By this time the old man was real sick because Mary was growing larger and larger every day. He was in bed and had just pulled all of the whiskers out of his chin.
He was growing sick because he knew that that was a dangerous thing for a married man to go into another woman that is not his wife.
Right.
I mean, the law of Moses called that adultery.
Right.
You know, but it was ordained.
Right.
So I love the part that Joseph manned up.
Yeah.
He didn't leave her to the fin. Once he found out that this was to be and he was the father, then he manned up.
That's right.
And he took charge of the situation. Come on, baby.
That's right.
Read.
During that time too, you know, as you were just saying, they would have killed the woman and the child too. So I'm gonna add
That's
that.
a good point. Both could have been stoned.
Okay, it says, Joseph said to the old man, I will tell you about the whole thing. Then you can kill me right here. Mary and I always loved each other.
Yeah.
Even when we were going to school and promised to marry when we were old enough.
Yes.
I came to you and asked you for Mary's hand, but you would not give her to me. Now this is what happened. I am the father of that child. I am the father of the child that Mary is carrying. And remember that the child is going to be a great man.
The child is going to be a great man.
A prophet. A teacher.
A teacher.
His name can be found in the history of the Holy Quran.
Yes.
Now remember, you must not tell anyone about this because of the authorities.
Because the authorities, that's that parallel between his story and the story, or our story, the truth. See, everybody know that Jesus and Mary was on the run because that was a death plot to kill the baby Jesus. They knew he was coming. They just didn't know how or when exactly he would be here.
Right.
Like it was with Moses. Destroy the male, preserve the female. Come on, baby.
Yeah, they didn't know the correct, the exact date.
They did not know the exact date.
Okay, it says, if they knew this, they would kill the child. So keep your mouth shut about this. Now you can kill me if you want to.
Go ahead, Joseph. Man up.
I have told you the truth.
I have told you the truth.
The last month of Mary's pregnancy drew near, but the authorities did not know what time the child would be born. So the same medium, or prophetess, that told Joseph of the child also went and told the authorities, but no one knew which day the child would be born.
See, she let it be known. You can't stop this. The child has been born, but I'm not going to tell you where he is.
Yep.
Go on, baby.
It says, although they did know the week, they knew the week that he would be born,
Okay,
but
speculation.
not the day. Okay, the authorities had a committee to go around and take a census of all the pregnant women and when they would be giving birth.
When it says that authorities knew the week, it's like what was going on between black folks in America during our sojourn of Abraham. They knew, the Jews knew, and the Caucasians knew that, as it was with, who did I mention last week? I mentioned when we were studying, the president, Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas Jefferson, who was one of the writers of the Constitution. You know, he knew that what they were doing by having us enslaved and talking about liberation was not right. He had slaves that he was going into himself. He would wake up. It said that he would wake up sometime in a cold sweat because he knew that God's justice could not sleep forever. He knew that they would have to pay for this if they did not do justice by us. And here we are 460 years later, and they were looking for the coming of that risen Messiah. But they didn't know, they knew the time that he was to appear, 460 years, but they did not know how he would come. So when they saw, as I've mentioned before, when they saw Noble Drew Ali, they thought he was the one. He was positive. When they saw Marcus Garvey, they thought he was the one. But in comes, as I said before, Allah in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Mother Tanetta Muhammad, I gotta say this, baby. Mother Tanetta Muhammad said that in 1930, she said that the mother wheel was spotted over Canada. They said that the people that saw it said they saw this huge wheel in the sky, a plane in the sky, and said a light came down, a beam of light came down, and then it went back up. Could be that was the incoming of Allah in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Canada is right across the river into Detroit, Detroit, Michigan. Come on, baby.
That's where he came, Black Bottom.
Black Bottom, Detroit.
That's it.
Finding that one, seeking that lost sheep.
That's
What
right.
man having 99 sheep loses one, would not leave, who would not leave the 99 and go after that one that is lost? Thank you, Allah.
That's right. This committee checked everyone who was pregnant. When the week came that Jesus would be born, the authorities had given orders that all boy babies born in that week should be killed.
Yeah, should be killed. That's
That's right.
trifling. Read on, baby, before I say something
That's their
else.
job.
Trifling.
Yes. Joseph came and took charge of Mary himself.
Mm.
All men over in Asia are taught how to take care of their wives.
They know how to deliver babies. They know how to be a midwife. Come on.
That's right, and perform this duty for their wives
Mm-hmm.
in case they don't care for a wet nurse. The girls are also taught about midwifery when still very young.
I'm still very young.
Mary's father had plenty of livestock and ordered stalls to be built. Joseph took one of the stalls and filled it in all around the inside and put a bed in the center for Mary.
Yes.
This is the manger that the Bible speaks about where Jesus was born.
And see, they try to tell you he was looking for an end. Joseph wasn't looking for no end. Joseph, cause he knew that the ends would be, they would be
Looking for them there. The authorities would be searching
the
for them.
authorities would be searching for them in such ends. So he had to disguise her in a manger amongst the animals. So that's that parallel between the truth and the lie of the liars.
That's right. To look at the stalls from the outside, it appeared as if it was just a stall.
Just a stall.
Filled with hay for the animals.
Come on.
In this way, he concealed Mary from the authorities. He brought her food and water every day. In that week, when the authorities were expecting Jesus to be born,
Yes.
they sent the committee around to those who had a list of who would give birth that same week.
Mm-hmm.
When they came to Mary's father's house, they knocked on the door, and the old man went and met them. They said to him, "Where is the woman who gave birth this week? Doesn't she stay here?" The old man said, "What woman?" They said, "The one that was with child." He said, "Oh, I know what you are talking about. The woman that was here for some time, she was only visiting here," the old man said. "She has returned to her home in Egypt." They said, "Oh, she was just visiting." The old man said, "Yes, that is all." So the committee marked Mary on their list as one that was only visiting.
Now, this put me in mind of what happened with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in this picture. Here's the honorable Elijah Muhammad running from hypocrites, agents, disbelievers, and Negroes who want to take his life. He's in the train station and he walks past this particular agent. The agent do not see him. Once he heard the 29th surah entitled "The Spider" in the wheels of the train, he got off and, like I mentioned last week, returned back and came to confront him and tell him, "I'm the one you looking for." Okay? But he had what we will later discuss as the radio in the head.
Right.
The same thing happened with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes.
When he went to Libya to warn Brother Gaddafi of the death plot. It had been said, if you go to Libya, when you come back, we're going to lock you up.
That's right.
But they didn't know they were dealing with God's man. Farrakhan is God's man.
Right.
He went. You don't tell him where he can and cannot go. He went, warned Libya, and saved him at that dispensation in time, as well as one of his daughters was killed, but he was bombed. The American aircraft carrier was out in the Mediterranean, and it was the electrical system was compromised by some big wheel-looking thing that appeared in the sky, it appears. But the minister got out. He had two other brothers with him. He told them to wait here as he walked past.
That's right.
Like the other Elijah Muhammad did. Like what happened with Mary and Joseph when they disguised Jesus and they did not see him go past. When they learned the minister was back in Chicago at home.
Right.
And they didn't come at him either.
That's right.
Because they tried to figure out how he got past them.
Because they were definitely looking.
And they were definitely looking. They had an all points bulletin out for Farrakhan.
Right.
But Allah, they plan. And Allah also plans, and Allah is the best of planners.
That's right.
Praise belongs to Allah. Come on, baby.
Okay, it goes on to say, Joseph came daily with water and food to Mary and to see the baby. He fooled his wife by telling her that he had a job building a house. This was how Jesus was born.
This is how. This is the true history of Jesus.
That's right.
Think outside the construct. This is not that Jesus
No,
of
it's
2,000 years ago. Come on, baby.
That's right. Okay, now I will go on to read. It's called Radio in the Head.
Radio in the head. Now, before you read that, baby, in a few minutes, in the next couple of minutes, our YouTube video is going to be going out. And please go to YouTube, Sylvester Muhammad YouTube channel, like and subscribe and enjoy. Share. Please. Go on, baby. Read on.
Okay, now Radio in the Head, page 6. It says, after a few days, and as soon as Mary was able, Joseph told her that he would have to send her and the child away to his people down in Egypt.
Down in Egypt.
That's right. Joseph, do you want to do something?
Down in Egypt. Now, here's Egypt. This area is Jerusalem, Palestine. Okay? So he's going to be sent down into Egypt. All right, go on, read on.
Okay, It says, at a certain time of the year in Palestine, where they were living, a dark cloud comes up. This kind of cloud comes up, one cannot see well. One cannot see so well.
Okay.
Because it's that dark. It was the kind of cloud that Joseph waited for.
Go ahead, Joe.
Under the darkness of this stormy
Yeah,
cloud,
yeah.
Joseph mounted Mary and her baby on the back of an ass.
Yeah.
Away they went for the camel station. The ass or donkey knew the route under the darkness of the storm.
Now this was the major mode of transportation. The donkey done with it plenty times, so he knew the route.
Yes.
Go on. We're gonna get into. Come on.
The camel station is where camels are for hire. Over at home, Asia, we have camel stations. They are called male camels. The camel is very sensitive and a fast runner.
Okay. Over at home in Asia, we have camel stations back then, and the camels know the route because they've ridden it or rode it so many times. It was like when you said a certain name, it's like putting the information in a GPS.
That's right.
Them camels knew exactly where they needed to go. Read on,
Right.
baby.
The male camels go from 40 to 50 miles per hour, and it was one of the male camels they hired. From Jerusalem to Cairo, Egypt, was about 600 miles.
Yeah.
The camel knew the route well. He travels it daily.
He travels it daily.
Nothing is necessary except to tell the camel where you want him to go, and he will go right direct to the place.
Right direct to the place.
They have comfortable seats on their backs. Joseph had provided Mary with money and everything. So he mounted her and Jesus on the male camel and told the camel to take them to Cairo, Egypt as fast as possible. Off they went, and Joseph and the ass returned